G'day guys and welcome to the Centre Bounce for my team review for how my team did this week in round one. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I scored 2138 this week and am currently ranked 26,241. Of course, round one isn't the be all and end all because quite a few of us some friends that I've been messaging with, we are barely, 100 points apart. And the rank varies wildly as a result. So not the end of the world. Yes, other people have gotten a bit of a head start, but the team, all in all, is not in the worst position at this point in time. So this is how the players did, and automatically lost some points on the captaincy, changed the team structure just so that I could afford to get Gorn in based on the really favorable matchup. But he got stuck on the bench for quite some time in the last quarter. I think he spent about 10 minutes on the bench. And there was also some time previously when he was getting his nose worked on because he copped a knock to the nose. And then he obviously missed that easy set shot from 15 meters out and then set up another one and clanging it up at the end. And really, a 129 is unfortunately a disappointing result because the money certainly could have been better used in other places, namely the forward line, which really sucked. Like, these four scores, sure, great, but the money freed from a max going down could have certainly gone a long way to having perhaps a Sam Palpepper maybe up or a Davidson off the field, and having someone like Bailey Smith go absolutely bananas was really annoying and really tragic, unfortunately, for a lot of us non-owners. Levi Ashcroft being on the bench certainly was good, which means that I have saved a trade, don't have to bring him in, but alas, I do have to bring in the Baz, who definitely exceeded my expectations. There were also some footage that was being showed before the game about all of the strapping on his knee, and I was feeling quite confident with the fade. And to be honest, it was remarkable the scoring that he was getting. I didn't think his first half was great. Definitely better in the second half, especially in the last quarter. But geez, he was just scoring at will, and unfortunately, I have to wear that egg on my face and admit that I was wrong about that one. So, you know, we live and we learn. You can make calls, but Baz seems to be someone that I really need to get, especially when you look at who he's playing this week. He's playing the Saints, and the Saints just gave up points to everybody in that midfield against the Crows. So the Baz has to be someone that I get in. Sheasel or Zorko was the question mark. Ended up going with the Shees because we're a little bit concerned about potentially a Hayward tag on Zorko. And it was looking really good up until halftime. Was thinking, excellent, we made the right choice. But Zorko then just absolutely went on an absolute rampage in the second half and finished really high. 50-50 call, but I can't see our teams finishing without Shees also. A selection I'm not against. I was a little terrified about Tom Stewart, unfortunately, when he copped that head knock, had to get off the field, had to get that neck treatment, and he was spending obviously quite a bit of time on the bench as a result. But I just love this guy, Tom Stewart, so reliable, so consistent to get to the 100 despite the lower time on ground. He's just a legend. I love this. I love watching him play. Short was on a fire in the first half, but Donkey Voss, honestly, Carlton, why do you still have this guy as your coach? Sack him. He is absolutely pathetic. The fact that you gave up that lead, 41 points, and lost to Richmond. This guy Short was not tearing you up. Yeah, okay. Was Voss looking at Supercoach scores? Because I think he was around 60 points at halftime, then sent a tagger to him, like Cottrell. Bro, leave the Seagull alone and actually put some effort. Lawler tore them apart. Or send someone to Taranto or Hopper who were just getting clearances at will. It's remarkable they put attention into Short. So I'm still happy to keep on the Short for moving forward. Roberts, I was raging a little bit because I love me the Lizard, but the Lizard was infuriating me in that game, just taking absolutely everything. and yet Robert still finished on 95. Pretty damn good, if I might say so myself. Perryman, I was so against this guy all preseason, and this is the one that annoys me, really. It annoys me that I watched the preseason game, watched him round zero, and kept him in my side when really all preseason I really wasn't a big fan of this guy. And he was overtaken by Ned Long. So clearly he's not very high up in the pecking order. And for 417,500, it's just quite frankly unacceptable. So I really want to kick this guy out ASAP. Reed played his 10th game, cut him some slack. He got through the game unscathed, and that's the most important thing. So Reed stays on, Ridley is out, so which possibly means that Reed could be involved in play a lot more moving forward. So Reed, yep, well done. O'Connell, I hope he doesn't get dropped. It was a bad day for St Kilda. And Trainer 50, I think certainly did better than what the number suggests. Rosie 128, picked him for the start, for the fixture, no butters, and that's exactly how it turned out. Clary 93 was a bit disappointing, gave away quite a few free kicks at the end of the game, which obviously tanked his score. Chera 106 was on fire again in the first half, but I don't know, disappointing where for the game to end for him, but 106, we take it. Finn, 104. Well done, my son. Well done. Ashcroft, 73. That was disappointing. That was very disappointing, personally. But I have to hold on to him because he's got the Eagles this week at home. Fourth CBA attendee. It sucks that you pay $441 for him when his younger brother, less than half the price. That's better. Foss, heard some reports during the week that he was training in defense. But he just doesn't accumulate enough is the problem, which was a knock on him in his under 18s. So someone that I have to monitor. Nod, I was really happy to have him, and I'm now especially happy to have him. Knew that he was going to get some CBAs with Hayden Young injured, and that's exactly what happened. Sardis with a 50, considering his time on ground at 57%. This is actually a really good score. So, not one that I'm looking to rage. Unfortunately, Brad Scott did something kind of crazy in our game and played Redmond in the centre bounces to tag. Not a fan. Not a fan of that. I don't think that will ever happen again, hopefully. Levi, Nevitt, really good. These two would have been great on field. Lost 33 and 32. So that's, 65 points just there on rookie roulette. Campo, even Campo did better. Like any one of these guys on the bench would have been better than these two on field. Gorn, yep. DeConning should have taken that score. Should have taken the score. Boyd with a 63. I think he's going to keep playing. I think he's going to keep his spot in the side. Rowan Marshall playing really forward, very much forward. And copped a knee knock as well. Had some ice on his knee at the end of the game. So I think Boyd has to keep playing. The horny one was tagged by Perryman. It's just disgusting. That game pissed me off. Plus the Pies won. And, I don't like the Pies. Rankin was who I had in the side instead of Baz. And I'm really happy with 128. I knew that he can really outperform his price point. It's just unfortunate that the Baz had to score what he did. McRae, he is back, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel in 81. I'm not disappointed. He's $270,000. These two, just like, what the hell? Davidson, quite a few times. I guess it was a really hot day, and North brought the pressure. Quite a few times, he was on the receiving end of some hospital handballs, which meant that he was, every time I saw him, it was like getting tackled, which is a bit unfortunate, but I think he'll certainly do better, especially if he's playing on a wider ground like the MCG. Definitely suits wingers. And Powell Pepper, jeez. Look, I'm going to have to keep him because he's playing Richmond at home, but jeez, this is not what you're expecting from a 180k rookie. Patton subbed out. I guess the saving grace for him is that there is a suspension over there at the Swans to McInerney, which hopefully means that Bice plays higher up the ground and Patton can continue to play in defence. He might only play one more game, and that's the hope, that he plays one more game and we can get a price rise out of him. And Flynn with an 87, he was absolutely destroyed in the ruck. And for him to finish with 87 is quite frankly remarkable. And he's got the big O this week. That's fine. We've got him in flex. It's best 18. Now that we're in a buy round, pretty happy. Pretty happy with an 87, all things considered, to be honest, based on the output. So what am I going to do? As a sort of forecast, I definitely want to get rid of Perryman. And the reason why I have Patton in the forward line to begin with is because it allows me to do this. So this is where some of the structural foresight and planning can go. Having Patton in the forward line in case one of those mid prices, if they were to die, then I did have a direct avenue to get to Bailey Smith if he was to pop off. It sucks that he popped off as much as he did with a 147, puts me automatically 147 points behind the 8 ball because of how widely owned he is, but not concerned now that I'm going to add him to the side, and it was only 1 week. So yeah, he comes across. So I can just do that. Obviously, no one else at the moment, I think, is really important to get in ASAP. I think Trainer is one that I'm very happy to field. And look, if Patton is dropped, would really suck. But if he's dropped, he could potentially also then be a loophole option between Reid and O'Connell. And if O'Connell plays and Reid should play, if Reid plays on the Saturday and scores really well, we'll just take it. If not, then we'll field O'Connell. Trainer is someone that I'm pretty confident fielding. In the midfield, I think Levi against West Coast, you should. And Nevitt looked wonderful and just kept growing and growing and getting better as the game went on. And he was wonderful. His pressure on the ball, his tackling, his composure in the tight clenches, some of these great handballs that he just looped over the top was wonderful. So I'm really happy with these 3 rooks on field. Campo plays first. Do I think Campo will outscore? I mean, halfback against Melbourne. Sardis is playing against, I'm not sure Campo will score really well against the Hawks. So I think I'll just put the emergency on Sardis first. And if Sardis doesn't pop off, then using Callahan as our loop, we can then put Foss on field. But I think I might go with Sardis as the emergency. And if he doesn't pop off, we'll then sub O'Sullivan on. And then in the forward line, Baz comes on. And then we've got Stone, who can be our loophole in the forward line. The Dogs play first. So if Davidson doesn't pop off, we can then sub Pal Pepper on. But if he does score, like say 70 plus or 80 plus, we can then leave him as is and take that score. For the vice captaincy, we'll leave it as De Conning on fire. Incredible work around the ground as well as in the ruck. So we'll go with De Conning as our VC. And my captain will be Connor Rozee at home against Richmond. Still means that my bench is pretty good. The back line is causing me a really big headache, though. The back line's causing me a headache because now I've got these 2 rookies and Patton and O'Connell. I really hope O'Connell has a strong bounce back and even is named. Really concerned about my back line. It's not looking great. I may have to consider downgrading one of Sardis or Foss, or maybe even both, using a boost to get these guys down to cheaper rookies. So that may be one of these, that maybe Patton or O'Connell could end up going up to like an SDK, for example, next week. SDK is going to score really well against St Kilda. I can see it happening right now. He's going to score really well. He had a great game on the weekend, and I reckon he's going to pop off against the Saints, which will mean that he'll have a very low break even going into the following week, which I want to get a big jump in that price. So this is what I'm rocking with at the moment. I do have to consider a bit more whether or not I'm going to trade someone else like Sidus and Foss potentially, because there seems to be, I think I've got the best rookies: Nod, Ashcroft, Nevitt. These three are top Gs. I think maybe Xavier Lindsay is another one that I might want to get in as well. And I'm considering maybe waiting a week because playing at Marvel Stadium, and Marvel we've seen isn't necessarily the most friendliest of venues for wingers. But I might be thinking maybe getting one of the Marvel merchants, the St Kilda rookies, potentially Max Hall, could be someone that I'd trade in. But I can definitely see myself using a boost, absolutely, and boosting next week. And the question, though, is whether I'm not going to boost this week, something that I have to consider. I think Foss is probably the one that I'm leaning towards downgrading early to just free up some cash. But for now, nothing is locked in other than I definitely want Perryman out. I definitely want Baz in. So I've got a little bit of money, not much. What I do, I'll have a think about more during the week, and obviously let you know later on before the next round starts. So this is what I'm looking at, guys. The team is not in the worst position. Definitely think the back line is, without a doubt, the weakest spot there. And I thought we were paying up well, doing well by paying up for 5 and a rookie, but one of them ended up being an absolute fake. And we knew that he was going to be a fake. Absolutely knew he was going to be a fake, but it's unfortunate that we ended up watching the Pracky game and seeing how well he performed and how much midfield he got. So it's okay. We live and we learn. I might not look at the practice games next year. I might just simply back in the research that I've done over the preseason, and the team would be so much better if I didn't have gone. Like if I did the initial to Conning and Flynn at R2, that team, I think, would have performed better than this team. But, it's very normal for people to have a better preseason team than they do a regular season team. I'm even considering trading out Max Gawn, accessing that money, because I really picked him for this round 1 fixture and he didn't pop off. So considering even trading a Max Gawn to then bolster the back line, because this is looking pretty precarious, to be honest. It's quite precarious. It may even involve Ashcroft, but Ashcroft I have to keep this week because he's playing against West Coast. So we'll have a look and see. Might need a restructure before the price changes for a lot of these good rookies. But this is where I'm at the moment. Need the Baz. Just needed Baz, and he was a bad fade. A really bad fade. So that is the team for this week. Hopefully you guys had a good week. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys went. Did you exceed expectations? Were you a bit disappointed? You're going to tell me off, CJ? I told you, don't fade Baz. Don't fade Baz. I told you, bad idea. But I'll just say that my predictions were not entirely wrong. I was definitely happy with Callahan as a selection. And I was right with my call about Will Day. I'll just say that I was right about those two. And I probably should have stuck with Zorks instead of going with Sheasel, but that's fine. That is absolutely fine. I think Sheasel is still someone that we're all going to have to finish our teams with. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to keep track of my team, as well as Big J's team, who's already put his team up. So hope you all have a lovely week. I'll see you members on Tuesday and the rest of you on Thursday for the drive home. Bye for now.